Good morning, Facebook. Welcome to the Extra Credits All-Star Show. Lisa here with Kendrick Shope. I'm so excited to have her with us. If you don't know who Kendrick is, she is a sales queen. This woman has got it going on, and she sells like a woman, not like a man. So let's talk a little bit more about that. Kendrick, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for having me here, Lisa. I think that the biggest takeaway people are going to get, or one of them, is the difference between what your beautiful accent sounds like and what my country accent sounds like. It's like day and night. I hear you talking and I'm like, you sound regal. And then I'm going to open my mouth and sound like I need to be spitting tobacco, but I digress.
Well, I have to say nobody has ever said that my accent sounds regal. So that's very, very interesting because, of course, you can't hear yourself, right?
No, you can't. Well, no, you can't. But next to just about everybody sounds regal. So, there's that.
Well, I can listen to you all day long. I've listened to lots of your podcasts and everything. And so your accent is beautiful to me.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I got lost in your pretty accent. What was the question again? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I wanted you to tell us a little bit about who you are, how you came from the pharmaceutical sales to this Sell Like a Woman engine, been on Steve Harvey, you've got this amazing success record. You talk about how women sell differently than men. Let's talk a little bit about how'd you get to where you are today?
Yeah. I would love to say that it was all some master plan and 12 years ago I could see the path, but I would be lying because it was a whole lot of bumps in the road and a whole lot of mistakes. The truth is, and I'm not going to give you the whole 20-year backstory, but when I came out of college, I had a psychology degree. There's not much you can do with a psychology degree, right? I mean,
no.
And, my parents were like, well, it's time, welcome to the real world, sweetheart. And so I got a job selling. I have a big personality. And so I did various sales jobs and eventually ended up in pharmaceutical sales. I sold lumber for a little while. I was a top performing sales rep for 3 Fortune 500 companies. And I cut my teeth there. Yeah. I learned a lot. And I was good at it and I was happy there for a while. But I had my daughter 10 years ago, and about 8 years ago, I was rocking her to sleep one night, and I was telling her, you can be anything she couldn't understand, but you can be anything you want to be in this world. All you have to do is believe in yourself and do the work. Yeah. And it just sort of hit me like a ton of bricks that one day this little girl's going to wake up and say, Mommy, was your dream to sell drugs? Because, pharmaceuticals, the legal kind of selling drugs. And I was going to have to say, no, baby, it wasn't.
Yeah.
And then all of that, you can be anything stuff was just a bunch of talk. Yeah. And so I walked into our bedroom 8 years ago in Chicago and I said to my husband, I am living a lie. And he's pretty used to be mean and dramatic, Lisa, so he didn't even blink. And I was like, no, Blake, you need to pay attention. Yeah. Because I tell this little girl she can be anything she wants to be, and I'm going to prove to her it's true. Yeah, I'm going to prove to her it's true. So a year later, I quit my job. I started this online business. I spent all of our savings, and here we are 7 years later.
Well, you know what? We all have that story. I love that you said you had a psychology degree because I went to university as well, took psychology and went, what am I doing? This is not going to get me anywhere, and I am not a therapist. So I, like you,
either.
Too big of a personality for that. So I love that you went into sales. That's, people talk about, where do you come from and all the different diverse backgrounds and going from selling lumber to pharmaceutical to an online business. I mean, it's a big jump, right? It's a risk. Like you said,
it's a huge risk.
Give up all your savings. People need to understand that you don't achieve the success of your stature by not giving it all, by going all in. You just don't. You have to be dedicated 100%.
You do. And, the dedication thing was never an issue for me. I mean, I have always said, look, if I'm going to bet on somebody, I'm going to bet on myself. Yeah. I got so mad when Beyonce said that, by the way, because now people give her credit. And I've been saying it for years. But whatever. But if I'm going to bet on anybody, I'm going to bet on myself. And so I know that people, the majority of people are not going to outwork me. They're not going to out hustle me because that's just who I am. What I didn't know is the amount of money it would take to start a business. And I can remember people that I really respect saying, that's great, Kendrick. And yes, you've got this drive and determination, but
Yeah.
it's also going to take a whole lot of money. And it does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. Online business, and it's funny that you say that because, I was stagnant for a while and I'm like, what am I going to do to get to that next level? How do I get to that next level? And I don't want to go and spend $750,000. I've already spent $750,000. How do I get to that next level? But it does take money when you get to a certain level in business. There's only so much that you can do on your own because there's only you, right? And so you need those resources, and those resources cost money.
They do. My daddy once said, "Scared money doesn't make money," and so I only had to hear that once. We didn't listen to him. He did not like to repeat himself, and I bet he wishes he had never told me that. But that was always my MO when we would have those freak out moments. Scared money won't make money. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, you have to have a level of risk. To be an entrepreneur really is, you have to have that level of comfort living in debt, first of all, and having risk, right? Because that's the only way that you're going to make it, is if you really go all in all the time.
Yeah, I guess that circles back around to what you were initially saying is it's not just a matter of going all in with your work ethic or your personal life or, looking back on it. I am so thankful that I did this and that we were able to do this, but there are lots of sacrifices that I think people don't talk about.
Yeah.
It always looks glamorous and beautiful, but there are lots of things that you give up, and you got to be willing to give those things up.
Yeah. And I think too, it's funny because I have twin daughters. They're 13 years old. And like you, I often think to myself, had I done something different with not had chosen entrepreneurship, what would I have taught them? And I do believe that you can be anything you want to be. Absolutely. I believe that you have to do the work. People have to be prepared to do the work 100%. But I think as well, it's okay to tell people they can be anything they want to be, but it's also, I think, our job as mothers to teach our children that it's okay if the first dream that you had didn't work out. It's okay.
Absolutely.
You can't be everything that you want to be because that's just not a reality. But you definitely can strive to be happy in what you do. And if you're happy in what you do, the likelihood is that you're going to be successful.
Yeah, I completely agree. 100%. I think that's and I don't think that gets said enough either.
Yeah.
Dreams and desires change. And really the first step in this epic life, this life with no regrets or whatever, is deciding what you want and knowing 100% that that's it. And that's a hard thing. To know 100%, I'm sure this is it.
Well, and paths change. Is like, when I started Extra Credits, I wasn't doing extra credits. I found a gap in the market, in the education. And education plays a key role in being successful. You talked about investing in yourself. And I know that you've invested in yourself. You've invested in education as well because you've got some great courses. Let's talk a little bit about that. Like, how do you educate yourself? How do you invest in your professional development?
Yeah, I love this question. So, and the caveat here is, I don't think that there's no one right way. When I was starting out, I wanted to know how everybody else did it because I could follow directions real well. Yeah. And so I want to know what you're learning, how you do it. Do you read books? Do you listen to podcasts? And that led me nowhere good because I wasn't being true to what I liked.
Yeah.
And so one of my top 5 strengths, Lisa, according to the Buckingham model, is learner. I read about 15 books a month. I listen. My daughter says you don't read, you listen. I'm an Audible queen. I got all the badges on Audible. I listen to about 15 books a month. I'm not a big podcast listener. That's all the rave, and everybody's like, have you listened to this podcast? No, I haven't. I will buy a course from here, here and there. So let's say that I want to learn about Facebook ads. I don't want to learn about Facebook ads. I would rather hire someone to do that. But let's say I did. I would buy a course, and I would just, but the educate myself, do the work. But I think that the biggest source of learning I have is through networking and conversations anymore with people like you, and through reading, or listening through Audible. I can blow through learning, like that.
Yeah.
Really quickly. And I love it.
And so do you take, because I know you have an online course, Do you take online courses? Is that something that you invest in yourself, or is it more the books that you're?
I have. So I spent about $100,000 taking online courses over the course of 6 or 7 years ago, and I learned a ton.
Yeah.
Anymore, people are very generous and they'll give me access to their course. And so I'm going through a PR course right now that somebody gave me, and it's amazing. One of the things that I do now, though, is I hire great people who are able to do, I mean, if I'm being completely honest, which I want to be, who can go through those courses for us as a team.
Yeah.
So, it may be that we Facebook ads or PR or whatever. My time is better spent out doing what I do well, selling, talking about selling. And so, yes, as far as my team, absolutely. Go continue your education.
Yep.
Tell me what you need. Go find it. Go read it. We want to do it better than we did it last year. Do you need a course? Here's the credit card. 100%.
Yeah. And you know what? It's interesting that you say that, because I was just having a conversation with a gentleman the other day about the difference between working in your business and working on your business. When you're delegating your team and they have a very specific role, that's working on your business, not in your business. And that's really important, because understanding who your team is and how they can get you to the next level and keep your bandwidth for what you do best is so vitally important to any entrepreneur, regardless of the market they're in.
It is. And that's a hard thing to learn, because, when you start out, you bootstrap everything. You do it all, right? And you don't do it all well, by the way. Everybody thinks that you're not doing it all. It's impossible to do it all well.
The seat of your pants, literally.
You are.
Yeah.
But then, and it's funny, because I had this conversation with myself and one of my colleagues about 7 months ago. I said, we need to find someone who is going to do XYZ for us with Facebook ads. That keeps coming up. That's a hot topic in my business right now. And I said, I could take okay, great. I could take a course. I could learn how to do it. And I said, I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to save the money and do it myself. And then I sat down and thought, that's the stupidest decision a CEO can make ever.
Yes.
You are not going to save the money and do it yourself. You're going to pull yourself away from where you need to be.
Yeah.
This is why you busted your rear, to have the money to go hire someone who does it better than everybody else.
That's right.
So, but I still do it. I'll save the money. I'll do it. They're 24 hours in a day. Who needs that extra hour of sleep? It's the dumbest thing ever.
Your best time spent is what you do best in your role. You're going to make more money in your role than you're going to be doing pushing buttons on Facebook ad.
Yes.
I mean, that's just, so if there's any entrepreneur that's listening right now, please take our advice. Like, stay in your lane and hire somebody, or, find a student who wants to prove their worth and let them figure it out. But don't take your time away from you on what you do best.
Absolutely. And I realize when you start out, you have to wear a lot of hats. And so maybe that's not the time to do Facebook ads. Maybe that's the time to do 7 of the 25,000 things and do them uncommonly well. You can do 7 of the 25,000 things uncommonly well and grow your business to 7 figures. I'm positive I did it.
Yep.
Well, I didn't do that without a team, but I grew up to 6 figures without a team.
Well, the other thing is having
team.
somebody hold you accountable. That's the thing too, right? Because we get sidetracked. I don't know about you, but I'll get sidetracked on an opportunity like, oh, that sounds really interesting. And you need somebody to bring you back and say, no, you can't do that. You need to stay here. You're good at.
Absolutely. 100%. Yes. Could not agree more.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had to laugh the very first time that I ever saw anything about you was when you were on the Steve Harvey show and you were selling a pen to Steve for $1 million. And I burst out laughing because it reminded me of the show that I watched. And I know you know who this is, and I'm sure you've had this comparison before. But Grant on Whatever It Takes, and he's asking people to sell a glass of water.
Glass of water. I know this well. Yes.
Yes. So, sell me a cup of coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. And that sell a pen thing actually was a question that I got in a pharmaceutical sales interview. So literally, a gentleman by the name of Ray Patterson from Eli Lilly handed me an ink pen and said, "Sell me this pen." And I had not heard that before. So I was like, oh, holy wow. So when we pitched Steve Harvey, you write your segments up or whatever, and we did this, I said, let's try to sell him an ink pen.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was fun. I made one of the number one sales mistakes I made right there out of the gate when I was like, "Do you need an ink pen?" And he had an ink pen, and and he threw his ink pen.
Don't
He's
ask a question that you don't know the answer.
Don't ask questions you don't know the answers to. There's seller's mistake number one. But it was great. We had so much fun, and he was great with it.
It was. And I've actually shared it with a few friends and colleagues, and I said, you got to watch this, because this is why every time a man tells me how to sell something, I get so aggravated, because we don't sell like a man, we sell like a woman. And what does that really mean?
Well, I think that the thing about that is, sell like a woman. People ask lots of times, what does that mean? It's not rocket science. It means that men and women are different. Okay, well, that's not earth shattering. That we communicate differently. Well, that's not earth shattering. So what I tell people is, look, put a man and a woman side by side, and you can see visible differences. Yeah. If you go inside the body and you study the brain, there are differences. Women have language, verbal processing centers on both sides of their brain. Men do not. And that's the tip of the iceberg. Women's brains change every day because of hormones, because of our neurochemical. Men's don't. They are static. Doesn't mean they can't grow, but I mean, they're not constantly changing.
Yeah.
And so research shows that men, and I'm stereotyping here, which in today's world you have to be careful doing, but men typically thrive in confrontation. Mm-hmm. And this goes back to survival of the fittest. It goes back to evolution at its core, because in the animal kingdom, the man was the protector of all, or the male was the protector of all of these females, and they thrived in confrontation. Men today still have some of that in their most reptilian DNA. They thrive when it gets aggressive, women, in contrast, if you go back to evolution, do not. No. If we were in confrontation, females were ostracized from the group. Mm-hmm. Our role was to be liked, to stay in the group. And so when I started in pharmaceutical sales, I had a boss tell me, "You're not selling until you're thrown out of an office." And I wanted to go to the corner and vomit. My mama did not teach me to get thrown out of offices. It is against everything I believe in my core. Yeah. So I started researching the differences between the ways men and women sell. Well, turns out I need to feel like I belong. I am selling when I feel like I am engaging, when I feel like I'm helping. And sure, men can have some of that. But as a whole, men sell better through confrontation. Women sell better through engagement, relationships, being of service.
Well, and I think that's why women there are a lot of men who are really great salespeople. I'm not saying, but I do believe, everything is all about relationships now. And, social media, it's about building trust. It's about that likability factor. We both know nobody buys a product because of the product. They buy a product or a service because of the person.
Absolutely. 100%. So
women, you have all these sales forces and a majority of them are men. And I'm thinking, where's the women in this industry?
Yeah. And it's also interesting too. Like I would, if you go back to men and women and look at us physically, we're different. I have no idea what it's like to be a man. Yeah. I don't. Sell like a woman at its core is, I know how to sell as I am. Yeah. Maybe as a Southern redheaded woman. It could even be, if we drill this down, that Midwesterners sell different than Southerners. I don't care. They do, actually. I know that to be true because I've sold in both markets, but that's another story. So at its core, I know how to sell like a woman. I don't, and selling like a woman is going to help you man and woman both. Yeah. I know how to sell through confrontation. I learned that. I know how to sell using tactics that men use, but I'm going to be more successful using what works for me. Yeah, that's what it means.
Well, and I think that's a really good point, is that, you can learn from the other sex about how to sell. It doesn't mean that just because you're a woman, you can't sell like a man. You can't sell through confrontation. You can't have these really great negotiation skills that are more
No.
confrontational in nature. It just means that it's a more well-rounded person and a professional. And I think the other thing too is everybody thinks of sales and they think of a car salesman or pharmaceutical sales, but people forget, and you made a really good point on the Steve Harvey show. As mothers, we're selling our kids all the time, like clean the dishwasher, clean your room, that's selling. Whether you're a financial planner and you're selling your service on, the financial statements to a business or whatever it happens to be, it's all selling. It's just packaged differently.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. My belief is that to get what you want in life, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, to get what you want in life, you are selling. That is the key to unlock whatever it is you want. You want a new pair of shoes? You think you're going to the store and you're going to be sold, but that's not true. To get what you want, to be able to spend the money, you sell yourself, you sell your spouse, you sell whomever on why you need these shoes. So there's a sales relationship that goes on with ourselves. There's a sales relationship that goes on with our kids. There's a sales relationship that goes on with our spouse. There's a sales relationship that goes on with your boss. To get what you want, you are selling. If you've gotten anything you wanted in life, you're selling somebody. It may be yourself.
Yep, absolutely.
And so people think that it's a skill that only people in corporations need or entrepreneurs need. No, it's a skill you need to live life to the fullest.
Yeah, and I really believe I'm a big advocate of education, obviously, because that's my realm, but in the school system right now. And I think our school system, whether you're here in Canada or in the US, fails our children in the fact that we don't teach them self-confidence. We don't teach them sales. We don't teach them negotiation, how to actually communicate properly, how to present their ideas. Those are things that they carry out through, just like you have to know 2 + 2 is 4, you need to know these things as well.
Yeah, I think that, especially at a collegiate level, at a university level, and maybe a high school level too. My daughter's 10, your kids are 13, right? You said, we're at that age where we start to see all the self-confidence dwindle. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about 13, but 10. And I believe that kids will be more successful academically if we add some programs into education, and I don't know how to do it, so I have no idea how to do it, but some programs into education like the kindness campaign. The kindness campaign is something that comes to mind that is doing great work in Texas. Yeah. And they're helping kids with their self-esteem and helping kids see that, how beautiful they are and how wonderful they are. And think about it. When you feel beautiful, wonderful, confident, you accomplish more in every realm of everything. So I agree. I think we don't teach kids how to be well-rounded citizens.
Yeah, I would agree. I think kindness, and there is a difference. So Gabrielle Van Ray, I don't know if you know who Gabrielle Van Ray is, but she's a leading authority on the kindness. She's got the kindness movement, and her and I have often talked, and there's a real big difference too between what kindness is and what being nice is. There's a big difference between those two. And kids really need to understand what is that difference, and not just adults as well. So back to the selling though, what would you say is the number one sales mistake somebody makes? I think I know what it is, but I'd like to hear what you say.
This is a hard one. And it's funny because I've probably answered this differently, so I don't know differently at different times. Yeah. But I think there are two. I think the first one is believing that selling is icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, pushy. Mm-hmm. If you believe that selling is like that, then you're doing it wrong. It's no wonder that, if you're engaging in an activity that makes you feel icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, pushy, that you're not going to get the results you want. Exactly. So that's the first mistake at least a lot of my people see. I believe selling is helping, and I can prove that to you. Yeah. The second mistake I believe people make, I'm going to give you 3. I'm feeling really chatty today, so I'm not following the rules. The second mistake is not being sold on your own product or service. Yeah. I believe that you will sell anything better if you understand, if you wear the clothes, if you live the brand, if you drive the car. It drives me bananas if we go buy a car and we're at the Ford dealership and the person drives up in a Mercedes who's going to sell me the car. Seriously? People do it all the time.
Yeah, How do you sell something that you don't even use yourself?
That you don't even drive. I mean, come on, people.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
the third thing is believing that your customers can't afford it. And that's probably at its core the biggest sales mistake when you get right down to selling, because it's not about money. We pay for what we value. We pay $1,000 for cell phones. We pay thousands of dollars to take our televisions from 58 inches to 64. Yeah. Nobody needs a 64-inch TV. Yeah. I mean, you don't. Yeah. My husband can sell me on why he needs one, but we don't need it.
I think
people pay for what they value. We have 3 computers in this house, 2 laptops and 1 PC, or whatever this is, Apple, whatever. We don't need that, but we pay for what we value. We value that. And so it's not about money. And yes, there are people who are hurting. And yes, there are people who are struggling, and they're probably not your customers if you're selling them something.
Yeah, absolutely. I often say too, I think one of the things that I often see people make mistakes, and it's, sales is relationship building. So I'm not going to say sales, but I'm going to say in relationship building, they forget that the conversation is about the other person. It's not about you. It's about them. And position how they're having a conversation should be about them, not about you. And I don't know how many times I've had a conversation with somebody and they talk about themselves for the first 30 minutes and you're like, I've done 1,000 different things in my mind, because what's the point? This is a one-way street.
Yeah, I think one of the things that in sales school that we do with our students is they learn to write. A lot of them have online businesses, so they learn to write web copy, and they learn to write their sales page, and they learn to write their about page. And the first thing we teach when you write your about page is it's not about you. Yeah. And people are like, but this is the about me page, and it's not about you. It's about who you help, how you help them, maybe where you got started on the 4th paragraph, but who you help, how you can help them, why it matters. Yeah. It's not about you. No. It's not about you. No. Ever. It's not about you.
So one faculty member that, he's not faculty, but he was trying to become faculty at Extra Credits. He has had some online courses. And anyway, so he was telling me all about his business and who he was and his expertise and what have you. And I said, do you realize, though, that nobody really cares about you? They care about the content and what are they going to get a value from what you're teaching them. That's what they care about. Well, what do you mean? Like, he was absolutely dumbfounded that people didn't care about him. And I'm thinking, how are you making a living?
Yeah. And people also miss, it's not just about what you can do for them, right, Lisa? And you know this, you referenced it. It's about why it matters. Yeah. Or the value. The word you used was value. So, if you're selling this great weight loss product and it's going to help me lose weight. Okay, great. So will 5,458 million other weight loss products. Yeah. Why does it matter? Yeah. Why does it matter? Does it matter that it's all natural? Does it matter that it's not going to kill me? Does it matter that I'm going to be able to walk into my high school reunion looking hotter at 18 than I did, or looking hotter at 40 than I did at 18? Yeah. I mean, so people miss the benefit, right? Yeah. And so like when you go to buy a car salesmen sell on features all the time. It's got anti-lock brakes. It's got power windows. It's got power steering. Okay, great. We as consumers know why those things matter, but I guarantee you if you reinforce those as a car salesman, it's got anti-lock brakes. So when you have to slam those brakes down in the rain, you're not going to crash your head through the window or whatever. I don't know. I don't know much about cars, but you get what I'm saying. Yeah. We don't sell the benefits. We sell the features, and features don't sell.
They don't.
If you're selling on features, you're selling a commodity. Yeah. So and if you're selling a commodity, then you get down to price. But the majority of us don't sell a commodity. We sell a specialty product that has benefits, and you can charge more for it when you talk about the benefits.
Yeah, and it is really about talking about the benefits first and foremost. And it's really learning what benefit or what need are you fulfilling other person first. So, and that goes back to relationship. It's learning about them. What's their problems? What's their challenges? What are their constraints? And then tailoring the discussion about the benefit that solves the problem.
Absolutely. 100%.
It's not rocket science.
It's not. But benefits, at least with my people, benefits seems to be a really hard thing for them to wrap their minds around. So I tell this story. I read this book called OJ is Guilty, but not of murder. This is not an OJ Simpson platform. It's just a funny book, a funny title to a book. And I called my mom and I was like, you got to read this book. And she's like, I don't want to read that book. I got all the OJ I needed in the 90s or whatever. I don't want to read it. I was like, no, you got to read it. You got to read it. I want to talk to you about it. It's fascinating to me. Kendrick, I don't want to read that book, but I want you to. Okay. See, making it all about me.
Yeah.
So then, if you flip the scenario and you're like, okay, mom, let's take a vacation. Let's have a book club and, let's take a vacation and spend some quality mom-daughter time together. And we'll talk about the benefits or not the benefits. We'll talk about this book and we'll bond and we'll whatever. I'd love to do that. Okay, great. Let's read OJ is Guilty, but not of murder. Again, I made it about what she wanted and what I wanted to be able to spend time with her. But I really want to have somebody to talk to you about with this book. I don't care. I don't want to read that book.
Yeah.
But that's goofy, but that illustrates benefits when you make it about them and something they want.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll read that damn book I don't want to read, Kendrick, because I want to spend time with my daughter whom I love. Okay, great. Sold.
Exactly. So now I know that somebody sold you on something recently that was completely out of your comfort zone. They sold you on a trip to Paris and they organized everything. I want to know, how did they accomplish that? Because I know you well enough to know you need to know what's all going on at all times. So tell me about that story. I got to hear this.
I have never thought about it from a sales perspective, but this is a great conversation. So about 4 years ago, I met a woman by the name of Tanya Lee.
Okay.
The minute Tanya Lee got out of her car, I knew that she had something I wanted. She just sort of, I can't put words around it, but she just walked with this grace and this elegance and this, her brand is called French Kiss Life. So she was living her brand.
Yeah.
I spent a weekend with Tanya. She was a stranger, but we ended up spending a weekend together in a hotel doing some business stuff. And the more she talked, she wasn't selling me on anything. The more she talked about her business and her values and this trip to France that she took with women, the more I wanted to know.
Yeah.
So, fast forward 4 years, I am going with Tanya to Paris and I am giving up all control. So literally they've given us a packing list. They have given us a few little hints, but I know nothing. There is a car picking me up from Charles de Gaulle, taking me to the hotel, and I have an itinerary every night on my bed. So like she said, bring a ball gown or bring a ball gown for last night. I'm like, oh dear God, a ball gown? What are we doing? I'm not telling. Bring a piece of jewelry that matters to you.
Yep.
Bring some lingerie that I'm like, lingerie? I don't own lingerie. What are you talking about? What are we doing? And the closer it gets, the more freaked out I get, which means it is a great learning experience for me. So literally Tuesday morning I touch down, or Tuesday morning I touch down in Paris and I have no clue what I'm doing.
Other than you're in Paris and you need a ball gown, lingerie, and you're going to get an agenda every night. That's all you know.
Yep.
That's exciting. I cannot wait to hear the story of what you're going to have to put a quick YouTube video and tell your story about what happened, because that's amazing.
I will. And it's, here's the thing. I can think of 5,000 million reasons not to go.
Yeah.
Why it's not the good time, why it's not the right time, why I don't need to go. But my interaction with Tanya, again, I don't know any of the features other than we're going to Paris.
Yeah.
My interaction with Tanya and the relationship we built, it's all I need to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know the first feature.
Yeah, and you'll figure it all out while you're there. And it's one of those, I would say it's the adjacent possibilities for opportunities that will occur from that trip. Who knows?
Who knows? I know that it is the time for me it's going to be great learning for me to just be and just roll with whatever we have. So yeah, I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah. And I think too, as successful women, it's really hard to let go of that control when we really are dedicated to our calendar and we're dedicated to who we are. And, we have these very specific things that we need to do to grow our business and work on our business and in our business. And so it's hard to let go of some of that and give somebody else control. kudos, because that would be a tough one for me too.
Yeah, I do it once a year usually. This year I will have done it twice, but my family takes a Disney cruise usually once or twice a year, usually once a year. Maybe I do it twice a year. But anyway, it doesn't matter. And when you're on the cruise, internet access is really spotty. And I really think that's one of the reasons that my family loves it so much, because I have no choice but to unplug. Like I have to leave it with someone. And when I step on that boat, I am literally like, we are offline as a family, and it is amazing.
Yes.
And I come back, and you know what? The place is still standing because I have a fantastic team.
Well, and you're present in the moment with your family, right? And I think,
Yep.
When you're trying to build a business and and not a business that is $1 million business, but a $100 million business or $1 billion business, hard to find those times to stay present in the moment with our family. And it's a work-life balance. And as mothers, I think we struggle with that even more than fathers do typically.
I agree. I don't think work-life balance exists. If it does, I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
I think that, I think that in the moment, so for example, my daughter's at school right now and I am fully present in my business. When I pick her up, I'm going to be fully present with her until she goes to bed, and then I'll start working again. Yeah. And somewhere I have a husband in there and there's no balance, right? He gets left out in the cold. Well, I mean, he does. Like, there's my day. Yeah. Oh, wait. Did you speak to your husband? I'm not sure. He got on a plane this morning and flew somewhere.
I think he was in bed beside me, but I'm not 100% sure if that was the pillow or him.
Or him, or my daughter, or my dog. Yeah. And he's somewhere today. Like, he got on a plane today. I don't even know where he is. Yeah. So balance? Nah, we don't have it. That's why
everybody's looking for this magic formula of what is work-life balance. And I think the magic formula is the formula that works for you. That's the magic formula.
It is. And I think that you have to have a little bit of forgiveness in that formula. Yeah. I mean, you got to have a sense of humor about it. So I used to say, why do I want balance? Why do I want more? I want more of what I love and less of what I hate. Yeah. And balance means a good mix. I don't want that. Nope. I don't want the stuff I hate. But, my husband and I have found a routine that works, and it may not work for anybody else, but it works for us.
Yeah, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's what I guess work-life balance means to us. It's a whole lot of work and a whole lot of our daughter right now and a whole lot of our dog.
Yeah, absolutely. And teaching our children, whether they're, we have daughters, but whether they're daughters or son, is part of our job. I think as parents, man, the world is changing so much. I mean, I have been very lucky that I have two fantastically great. They've been married for, 49 years. Coming on 50 years here shortly. Their marriage has never been the easiest. I mean, there's been ups and downs, and they go through the early 60s where there was no money, and starting a career and all these things that happen. People, I think you have to figure it out as you go, and it changes as you go. And we have to teach our children that it's not always the white picket fence and a bed of roses. It's work. It's work in work, and it's work at home. It's just the way it is.
It is. It is. And I think that, for a long time, I always thought that everything would, when I got to Destination X, whatever that was, and Destination X has changed throughout my life, it was all going to be perfect. Our first 6 figures, our first 7 figures, when we moved to this location, when my daughter wasn't crying every night. You know what? What happens is Destination X moves. Oh, well then when I get to this point, the reality is this is life, and it's beautiful, and it's terrible, and it's chaotic, and it's a mess of contradictions. Yeah. So learn to love it.
And learn to love it. Learn. That's the big thing, is that every experience we learn something, and it might be good and it might be bad, but at least we're all learning, and that's a real, that's to the core of who I am. It's all about learning. Everything that, I've been really deep diving into my why, and, who am I, and why do I do the things that I do? And one of the things that has resonated, I have been a lifelong learner since I was 5 years old. I could never get enough of everything. I had to, had to be a ski instructor, had to be, a swim instructor, had to do, there's always something that you're learning. And I think that's really important in teaching our children, that it's okay to make a mistake. Where it's not okay is if you didn't try, because to me, that's a failure. How do you know you're good at something? How do you know if you're going to be great at something? Or how do you know if you suck at something if you never tried? So if you didn't try, that's a fail.
Absolutely. And I think, I'm going to use the Michael Jordan quote that is quoted often. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and from one learner to another, I think that my biggest teacher has been life.
Yeah.
It has been saying yes to the things that I have no clue how to do, falling flat on my face and saying, I may fall on my face again, but it's not going to be because of this.
Yeah.
And then falling on my face again and saying, okay, great. Now I know 2 ways not to fall on my face.
Yeah. And you're going to fall on your face 1,000 more times with 100 more broken noses. But every single time, if you're not learning from it, then you're going to make that same mistake again. And that's the bigger mistake. That's the failure there, right?
I agree completely. Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
My father-in-law is passed now, God rest his soul, but he used to say all the time, if I can't teach you, the world will. And I tell my kids that all the time because it is so true. We learn from our experiences.
That is I'm gonna share that with my daughter. That's a great quote.
Yeah. So we use it all the time. In fact, it gets used more often than it probably should be, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's a great quote though. I love it. It's so true.
And in sales, I mean, we need to fail to succeed. And getting more no's teaches us more than getting yeses.
Absolutely. And I think that, no's got this stigma about it. And I get it. I don't like to be told no either when I want something really badly, but no's got this stigma. And I say, let's reverse that stigma. Every no is a light post. So if you think about yourself walking down a dark alley and it's completely pitch dark and then you get a no, the first street lamp has come on. And then you're walking and it starts to get dark again and you get another no. The next street lamp has come on. Every no illuminates your path towards where you want to go.
Yeah.
It allows you to course correct. It allows you to do it better. It allows you, and so no turns the light on, I think. If you hear, no, I don't want to buy this car right now. It's too expensive. Okay, great. That's a light that turns on that says, okay, now we need to know, is it really about money, which it's not, or is it about there's something they want a different color. They want a whatever. No, I don't want to buy this face moisturizer. Okay. Why not? Because you came in looking for something for wrinkles. So what's really going on here? Do you believe in the product? Do you believe in the service? Every no lights our path towards yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I always say a no is never a no. It's just a not yet.
Not right now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And I think the biggest thing that gets lost in sales, if you will, or in relationships is the follow through afterwards. So you can always, on LinkedIn is a really good example. I get asked all the time, please connect. Okay. So I connect and then I hear crickets. So what, you just wanted the connection so that you could say you have a number of connections, or was it really something that you wanted to meet with me or learn from me? And that's the follow through. So it's one thing about making a connection. It's another to actually have the follow through. And in sales, follow through and follow up is so vitally important.
Yeah, 50%, 50 to 80, depending on which sales studies you read, of sales are closed in follow-up communication. Seasoned sales reps on average follow up 2 to 3 times. So just by nature of math, if you follow up more than 3 times, you are more likely to get the sale because everybody else has stopped. If you follow up 7 times, you are very likely to be the only person following up and you're going to get the sale. The thing that freaks people out about follow-up is, well, I don't want to be pushy and I don't want to be aggressive and I don't want to be a pest. Then don't be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You go through your whole life not being pushy, aggressive, and a pest. Why is it when you sit down to follow up that all of a sudden you have to be a pest? Do it in a way that feels good.
Yeah, not sleazy, slimy, slicky.
Yes!
You got a whole roll of them there.
Icky, sleazy, slimy, gross. I mean, great. I don't want to be icky. Great. Are you icky in your life? No, I don't think so. Are you slimy in your life? No, I don't think so. Then don't be slimy when you follow up. Yeah. How would you want to be followed up with? How would you want to be checked in with? Like, ask yourself some really common questions. It's just about giving yourself permission to communicate the way you would communicate with a friend, the way you would communicate with a colleague.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing too is people think that the follow-up is all about the sale. The
It's
follow-up
not.
isn't about the sale. The follow-up is gee, I saw this recent article and we happen to be talking about, Michael Kors just bought out Versace. You might be interested in that. Here you go. Here's the article. It doesn't have to be about what you're selling them. And I think people forget that.
Yeah, people think that every follow-up has to have, we hear call to action, call to action, call to action. You're exactly right, Lisa. The call to action could be, hey, I saw this article and I know that you love fashion and you crossed my mind. The point is I'm thinking about you.
Yeah.
Not I want you to buy my course. The point is I'm thinking about you.
Yeah.
And so, follow up when people master it, it changes everything about their business.
It does.
It changes the amount of money they make. It changes the amount of sales that they close, the amount of people that they help, and it changes the way they feel about what they are doing.
Absolutely. And I think people forget too that a referral can come out of a follow-up, not a sale.
Absolutely. 100% of the time. Yeah. Not 100% of the time, but yes, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And so persistence is really important in anything that you do. And it doesn't have to be about the sale. It can be about your relationships. It can be about your kids. It can be about your family. But being persistent doesn't mean that you have to be a nag.
No, the first two steps of selling are prospecting and engaging. That has nothing to do with selling your product or service. The last step of selling is over deliver and testimonials. That has nothing to do with you selling your product or service. So there's 7 steps of selling. 3 of them, nearly 50% of them, have nothing to do with you selling anything other than being of service yourself.
And you're supposed to be serve somebody, not be served.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
exactly right. It is my belief that we all come into this world with unique gifts and talents, and that's true. That's not a belief. That's true. We're all different. We come in with, our own uniqueness. And if you can improve or have a product or are aware of a product or service that can change somebody's life, health, business, weight, fill in the blank, and you don't share that, why not?
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with you? I'm not about finger pointing, but let's change the world by telling people, hey, you've got this problem. I know something that can help you with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you have a sales school that only opens up, I believe, 2 times a year. Is that right?
Once a year.
Once. Okay, so your sales school is opening up again because it just closed, because I missed it, in 2019. When and how? I believe the Kendrick Shope at Sales School 2018 is where they can get a notification, correct, on when you're going to be opening.
Yeah, and we're looking at, so once Sales School finishes this round, we're going to look at, we've got so many people who are asking for it again. We may look at doing it twice in 2019. We do everything with a lot of force. And so normally launching it once is about all I can do. But I also believe that, I see the difference that it makes in people's lives. So we may open it twice in 2019. But yeah, you can get on that wait list. Just go to KendrickShope.com and hit Sales School and get notified.
And so what can you expect from your sales school? What are the benefits of the sales school? How long is it? Let's talk a little bit about your sales school.
Yeah, Sales School is a 7-week online learning experience. And during that 7 weeks, we go through the 7 steps of selling. So feature wise, we're going to write a sales page. We're going to write your about me page for a website. Everybody needs a web presence, but we're going to make sure that we do it in a way that leads people to stay on your website longer than they would a normal website. We're going to use formulas that have been tested and proven to work to help, and you're going to learn how to do it so you can do it forever. You're going to learn how to have sales conversations. You're going to learn how to follow up. You're going to learn how to get customers to your website so that they can buy. You get a 90-day action plan where you're guaranteed to make your money back from Sales School or your investment. What it does for people overarchingly is, I asked this question in our Sales School forum the other day, is number one, and I hate this benefit, but I've heard it so much that I'm going to say it. Number one, it increases people's confidence in being able to put themselves out there, which means if you go back to you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, you are taking more shots. Yeah. You are putting yourself out there in front of your customers in a way that feels good, and that ultimately leads to the 3 core benefits: more money, more customers, more of what you love. And that's what sales school does, period. Gives you, I'm really tangible. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Here's how you do it. And this is why it matters. Results, revenue, raving fans.
And so let's talk a little bit about the results, and some of the results that you have had with your clients. What are they?
So we have had people get their first client as a result of sales school. We've had people get their next 4 clients. We've had people have $50,000 sales days. We had one woman hit her first 7 figures in business at the end of sales school. We have had people their email opt-in go up 700%. We have had people's email open rate double. There are so many and this is true. It sounds crazy. There's so many testimonials, we can't put them all on the website because it literally is too much information on the website for us to house in one place. Our sales school students are the cream of the crop. They are the best of the best. They come in, they show up. We work hard. And that's why they get results. And so, at the end of the day, I have somebody who went through sales school 3 years ago and then she got sick and she came back and said, can I go through sales school again this year? And I said, yeah, you have lifetime access. 3 or 4 years ago, she kept having this starving artist mentality. She's like, but I'm a starving artist. I'm a starving artist. I'm a starving artist. This year, we broke through that. She emailed me and said, I have tripled my investment in sales school that I made in sales school in the last 2 weeks. So I mean, at the end of the day, selling is the exchange of money for a product or service. Our students go out and make legit more money, which means their business is working. They're helping more people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's important because, one of our mandates at Extra Credits is really working with experts like yourself who have the results. That's, what they offer for educational opportunities is so important when it's results driven. And it's so hard. I know myself, and we've talked about this, I've spent a lot of good money against bad expertise because the product, they were great at selling the product, but they weren't great on selling the results. And so you take the product and then you don't get the results. Well, what a waste of money. And so thank you, because your sales school really focuses on the results.
It does. I think that's because I came from corporate selling where it was quota exceed quota, quota exceed quota. And I learned very quickly that I need to know that people who are trusting us with their 2 most precious resources, their money and their time, but when they enroll in sales school, time they can't make more of. I need to see it for me, a return on their investment. I need to know that if they give all this, they're going to be able to go out and see results. I am wickedly attached to customers' results because they give so much. They work so hard. Yeah. So I would put sales school up against any other online learning experience there is with our results. I've never seen anybody get results like sales school does. And that's a testament to our students. Yeah. Yes, it's a testament to what we teach, but the people who come in feel supported and they do the work and it works.
Well, and I think the key is do the work. You can have the best training in the world, but if you don't actually apply what you learn and repeat, what's the point?
Yeah, and we've studied that some, Lisa. So one of the things that was really important to me this year for us to try, you try, you fail, was how do we get people to stick with us through the really hard parts? Because in 7 weeks we go hard. And we were finding that we saw a drop off about week 3 with students showing up and asking questions and submitting homework. And so I said, we need to do a better job of keeping people through the end. We're going to get even better results if we do that. So we instituted some things this year. We did a lot of research to say it's up to you to do the work, but we're here to support you as you do the work. We want keep showing up, and it's we sometimes you strike gold the first time, sometimes you don't. This is one of those times that has worked. We've never had such a retention rate before of people completing the course.
That's fantastic, and you're holding them accountable too, right? Through it, and that's important. Accountability is, as a coach, because you coach, is so important and holds you to the results in the end.
It does. Yeah. It does. Absolutely.
Well, I want to say thank you very much. Again, you can reach Kendrick at Kendrick Shope, SHOPE.com. Go to the Steve Harvey. You can see her there. Steve on that big pen, $1 million. And we'll see you again. And hopefully one day we'll see you in the Extra Credits faculty.
That would be amazing. I think we should talk. And thank you so much for this conversation. It's been absolutely delightful.
Thank you very much. Bye for now.